Tigertail is a brand new Netflix original movie written and directed by Alan Yang and stars, I'm probably going to butcher this so bear with, Z Ma, Christine Koh, Lee Hong Chi and Hayden Zetto, and basically follows this man later on in his life who then spends most of the movie reflecting on his youth and the many things that he could have done and really wishes that he should have done instead of the life that he ended up with. What's this? A new review for a new release? It's almost like we're not in lockdown anymore. I mean, we still are. But yeah, this is almost unheard of. When we went into lockdown, I genuinely didn't think I would be able to do any more new reviews for any new releases. But then I remembered Netflix originals are a thing. And to be honest, over the last few weeks, Netflix original movies, anyway, haven't really floated my boat. I've seen a couple, and the ones that I have seen have been shit. I may talk about them in a future, review roundup video, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, the ones that I have seen have been crap, and everything else just really doesn't look that interesting to me, except this film. I saw it one day on Netflix, and I thought, this looks really interesting. And also, to top it all off, I've been getting more and more into foreign movies recently, so this was like perfect timing. And I decided to watch it, and I'm half relieved that I gave this movie a watch, but at the same time, I'm also half annoyed that I gave this movie a watch, because I feel like I could have watched something a lot better. That's not to say this movie is bad by any means. There is a lot that works in this film, particularly the camera work and the performances. Those are the main things that make this movie work. Everything else about this movie is, unfortunately, a tad forgettable. Now, Tigertail is Alan Yang's directorial debut, and before this movie I had no idea who Alan Yang was, but after doing a bit of research I found out that he's actually the director for a lot of episodes of the TV show Master of None, and he gets a lot of praise for the directing that he does on that show. Which is fine, but for a directorial debut, a feature-length directorial debut, this is a little bit lackluster. A lot of the ideas on show are well executed, and you can see that there's a lot of promise and skill in the camera work and direction, but I just feel like he could have done a little bit more with what was in this movie in terms of the real meat, the real package that he was trying to deliver in terms of an emotional response. I know there are some people out there that are really connecting with this film on an emotional, personal level, but it really didn't do it for me, purely because I felt like there was a bit of a disconnect, and it's nothing to do with me being of a different upbringing and race to the characters in this film. I've seen films about completely different countries and people with completely different upbringings to me, and it still hits an emotional punch. Just take Parasite, for example. That movie hit me emotionally more than I was expecting to. And I have never been to Korea. I'm not Korean. I didn't grow up in Korea. But that movie still affected me in the ways that it was supposed to. But with Tigertail, I just feel like there's a bit of a disconnect between what the movie is trying to make you feel and what it is actually making you feel, which isn't really much at all, to be honest. Personally, I think the presentation of the movie, as well as a very personal and sweet feeling that the movie gives off at times, is well realised at certain points throughout the movie. But unfortunately, it's the pacing of the movie and the kind of melodramatic feel that a few scenes can have that really dragged it down for me, and it's probably why it didn't really work as well as it should have. Like I said, presentation-wise, this movie is really good. The camera work is absolutely stellar, and the cinematography is nothing mind-blowing, but it works for the sake of the movie, and there are even some shots, specifically near the start of the film, that are really gorgeous to look at. That combined with, like I said, the very personal and at times quite sweet tone the movie is going for, again, works for specific moments. But the pacing is just so slow and methodical, along with a few scenes that are a bit too melodramatic for my taste, that certain things didn't connect with me as much. Outside of the cinematography and camera work though, the performances are also really good as well. One specific aspect to the film that grew on me the more I got into the film is the relationship between the older version of the main character and his only daughter. To begin with, I didn't really care much for the scenes of those two together, but by the end of the film, you can tell that that is one of the many key points that the movie is trying to get across, and I think it works better than a lot of other aspects in the movie. Another aspect that I did think worked, though, that being said, is the relationship between the young main character and his longtime friend from Taiwan, who he kind of abandons, who I think is called Yen. I might be wrong, but yeah, the relationship that the younger versions of them have are really sweet, and that is where the sweet personal aspect of the movie comes from. When these scenes happen, they are really lovely to see, and they flow very nicely together. But there are other scenes which, unfortunately, are a bit slower in pace, and again, contradict those very charming scenes of Yen and the main character together. Apart from that, I don't really have much else to say about Tigertail. I was kind of expecting a lot more from this movie, and I didn't get that, annoyingly, which is why I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. If you are interested in watching it, I mean, give it a watch. You might have a completely different opinion to it than me, because I know there are some people out there that are really connecting with this film. I personally just didn't connect with it as much as other people. So, give it a go. It might be up your alley, it might not be. But yeah, we're all entitled to our own opinion, and it just didn't quite work for me in a few places. So guys, that was my review of Tigertail. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, then give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Bye.